The answer is mentality. Uh, Back when I started doing time, every organization, and like I say, there wasn't many. You had ABs and Muslims and GDs and Bloods and Crips and Latin Kings. That was it. But there was a pecking order. You had bosses. You had the guys who so-called had the keys. You had enforcers. You had soldiers. You know, yeah, and shit. And the rules were followed. And you know, if you got out of line, you got dealt with, and your own people was the first to deal with you. Nowadays, there's too many chiefs and no Indians. And what I mean by that is everybody wants to be the guy. Nobody plays their position anymore. And that's why you got situations now like the Heartless Felons. Let me explain something. I can't speak numbers in terms of like factual numbers, but I would almost be willing to make a bet that today, as we speak, there's probably just as many heartless felons in prison as there is Bloods or Crips. Like they're equal in numbers to those gangs now. And if they had a solid, structured way of doing shit, they would be dominating. I mean, they're dominating now, but they would be dominating far more. The problem is there's a dozen different factions, and it's because they don't even get along with each other. They don't know how. I've seen heartless felons go to the hoe, and before the CO could get to their property to pack them up, their own dudes to steal all their shit. Felons, their own heartless felon dudes. I've seen the fucking KFs do that a million. The KFs are the number one gang to do that. That's why I call them scumbags. Because when I tell you they do dope fiend shit, I mean I could count on one hand how many KFs I met that are solid and stand up dudes. And I have met some and I do know some. But them dudes, I used to watch them all the time. A KF would go to the hole and his broke KF buddies would go in his cell and steal all his shit and make up a story about how he owed them money or yeah. And the felons are known for that. A lot of people do that shit nowadays. But prison nowadays is just chaos. Like you got certain joints. You like really it just depends on what inmates are where. Cause you definitely got shot callers in the joint. And I'm not gonna name no names because they're all still incarcerated. But where they're at, there's order. You can believe that because they're about making money. They're never going home. They gotta live in there. You know what I'm saying? So that's their business. That's their career. That's how they put food on their table. You got guys in the joint. Just because they're in the joint don't mean that they ain't still taking care of people outside because that's definitely going on. And so when you get to a penitentiary where those guys are, they're all in a gang, and there's definitely gonna be order. But back in the day, like, you had to get permission just to even fight a motherfucker. I mean, that was before my time but I've heard stories, you know what I'm saying? Like, especially if it was like outside your race. Like, you used to have to get permission to go fight a black dude, or a black dude would have to go get permission to fight a white dude. And it's not like the old heads stopped laying. I don't know what happened. Well, yes, I do. Heroin happened. Heroin happened, and it ruined the penitentiary just like it ruined the hoods. I could make an argument. I listen. I stand on a set of morals and a set of personal morals that I grew up with. That was instilled in me by my family, and I got things that I won't bend to personally, so I can lay my head down at night and sleep with myself. But that no snitch motto shit, I believe in it. I think it's a good one, but that shit ain't. Snitching is the new keeping it real. Everybody's telling. And so it's basically become acceptable. I mean, you're threatened now. If you beat up a snitch knowing he's a snitch, penitentiaries are hitting dudes with hate crimes. You beat up a homosexual or a child molester or anything like that. I've seen dudes get hit with hate crimes. Like, they're playing a dirty game. And it's because they're just being fed. So, like at Ross, when I was at Ross, in theory, on paper, it sounds good. The penitentiary would let all the gang leaders meet up. If there was an issue, if there was a war fixing to pop off, and somehow the police caught wind of it, they would go get the gang leaders of those gangs, and they would bring them to the center, because there's two sides to Ross. Ross is like two prisons in one, and it's that big. It's like two giant rec yards, and then in between them, imagine the number 8, and then in the middle, there's an administrative area. And they would take them in that administrative area, and they would so-called let them hash it out. But really, they're just getting information. And so that's kind of how back when I first started doing time, if you even spoke to a CO longer than a couple seconds, a dude would pull up, somebody would pull up on you. Hey man, what you up here doing? Telling? Like, they'll straight put you on blast. People didn't go on mental health passes or weird passes like that, because you'll get labeled a snitch. Motherfuckers didn't go anywhere where they had to be alone with any kind of staff member for any amount of time, unless it was like some medical shit or like that type shit. Other than that, inmates didn't stand in COs' faces, chopping it up with the COs, kicking it with the COs. That shit didn't happen. And another thing, when I first started bitting, man, I mean, I ended up going to Toledo early on, so that was an oddity. But my first penitentiary was Lebanon, and at that time, there wasn't many female staff at all. There was some, but there was not a lot, and I don't think I ever seen one work my block ever. They didn't put COs in women COs in the blocks with men back then. And when I first started doing time, COs used to have to pass a course it was like a six. They had to go to Columbus and do like a 6 week boot camp. And if they didn't pass, and it was physical and mental. And if they didn't pass, they didn't become a CO. That's why back in the '90s, when I was starting my time, if any of y'all did time back then, that's why all the men CO were all big. All the COs back then used to look like fucking bodybuilders. It's 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 just changed. The whole way of everything has just changed. Now, and I think that's also, I think if it was part of the plan, I think it was a brilliant plan on the part of the prison people. Hey, let's start hiring more females and throwing them in the block. Because, I mean, it did cause chaos. At Toledo, there's no other prison to compare Toledo to back then. I mean, I'm sure I'm not the only person ever to have ever been in that type of scenario. But ask yourself, how often does somebody go to a prison that's brand new? And when I mean brand new, I mean brand new. I was the first person to ever sleep in my cell. When I got to this prison, there were only 60 people there. They had been there a couple months. They were the very first 60 people they brought in there to help install shit and finish the prison. That's how new it was. And when my bus ride rode in, I think there were 50 of us on the bus. So that would mean there was 110 people there. And it was like that for like 90 days. My point is, and all the staff were brand new. None of the COs had ever worked in a prison before. None of them. Most of them looked like college kids. They were either college kids looking people or older people. And they're dealing with guys who've been locked up 10, 15, 20 years, just come from Lebanon. So it's kind of hard to compare that. But the mentality is just different nowadays. Sorry about the dogs. The mentality is just different nowadays, is the point I'm trying to make. And that's why the prisons, they got PREA and shit like that now. You know, back when I was at Lebanon, there's 3 shower heads in that shower room. And there would be 6 to 9 people in there at all times. It was the car wash. Penitentiaries are the Wild West in Ohio. You'll go to a few. Ross has got structure. Mansfield, I was gonna say Mansfield. It might be different now, but when I was there, it didn't. But Lebanon's got structure. Ross has got structure. Toledo had it. And when I say structure, I mean you and your gang is gonna. Everybody. I'm not saying it don't pop off. It most definitely pop off. But motherfuckers know how to move, and people respect each other's, groove. You get what I'm saying. So, yeah, that's why it's different. I kind of wanted to just make a part two to the last video of the old versus new. This this is why these kids today are wild, y'all, and the mentality is just, it's sad. It really is. It's just sad. You know, most people wanted to come, or when they came to prison, wanted to better themselves. Maybe get a GED, maybe learn a trade. You could take college courses when I started going. They don't offer that shit no more. And to be quite honest with you, these kids probably wouldn't take it. I mean, these kids nowadays are almost proud. It's like a badge of honor. They come to prison and have fun. They treat prison like it's a summer camp, like it's an extended camp. and and it's crazy. And you'll get to some of these prisons like North Central, like these level 2 prisons. That's why I never, fuck no, I couldn't stay longer than a year at any of them. I'd always end up crashing out and getting rolled out because they treat it like you're in the hood. And everybody gets together and it's an open dorm and it's just wild. It's wild. And there's no respect. There's no respect no more. And not unless you're a stone cold monster. You gotta walk in there and just mangle shit. And you don't, if you ain't in a gang, you better make sure you got some people that got you. Because if you ain't in a gang and you're just riding dolo, you'll never get a one-on-one fight. I don't give a fuck. You'll never get a one-on-one fight. I remember back in the day, if you tried to jump somebody, even if they didn't know you or that dude, old school dudes to stop you. Nah, you ain't jumping him. We don't do that. They old school inmates wouldn't let you jump another inmate back in the day. Now, you're lucky to see a one-on-one fight now, unless it's individual gang members and their gangs are orchestrating it. That's just how it is, y'all. So, thanks for tuning in. Like and subscribe the video. Share it. Just wanted to get a part 2 out to y'all, man. Again, thanks so much for the love and support y'all have shown me. Hit me up in the comments, y'all. Stay safe. God bless. Till next time, it's the Hoodie Man.